Good evening, everyone. This is a video concerning the cell phones that I'm doing this reply to. Um, yes, we have them all around us now. We have phones in our house as well as the cell phones. First, I want to say this. If anyone's had an MRI, do you know what's happening? How the MRI works? All right. What it does, it aligns the polarity of your cells to one direction. So all the cells in your body have the same polarity. They're facing the same way, and that's how it maps out your tissue. So if an MRI can do that, that big damn magnet you get inside that's noisy as hell, picture this, if you will, please. Say this is one wire, this pin here. You have an electro field and a magnetic field. They run 90 degrees to each other. So even if you have one wire like this, you have an electromagnetic field that's being created around that one wire. We can't see it. Does that mean it's not real? No, because we have instruments we can pick that information up with. What I would really love to see, maybe somebody can come up with this. So here's a free shot for somebody, is if we could have eyeglass lenses or goggle lenses like we do in lasers. With lasers we have to use different colors and different coatings. Wavelength, we have to also consider that, because most lasers work on quarter wavelength on the optics. That means a quarter of the total for a wave to get to the back to the starting point. So you would quarter that, just like with CB radios. When I was trucking, I used to have to trim my antennas to be able to get the best reception possible, as well as to transmit the furthest I could. And I would be doing the wavelength as I'm nipping the tips of the antennas little by little. And if any of you have ever done that, trimming CB antennas, you know that one time you may be down pretty close to 0, and you take just another little clipping off, you're done. You got to go out and get new antennas. Just a little bit. A lot of everything that's on the planet mimics a crystalline structure, if it's not an outright crystalline structure. Then we have, I think it was back in the 80s, I don't know, I'm an old fart, my brain doesn't work as good as it used to. But this hit mainstream news, and it was families that were living under or around high power lines for electricity. And they were all getting these certain types of cancers. Cluster cancer is what they were calling it. And it's due to the electromagnetic field that's put out of these wires. When you're thinking about how much current they're pumping into that line to get that voltage to move, it's a lot, folks. 120, you stay locked to it unless somebody knocks you free, or you're lucky and you can override the spasms yourself and let go. 220, knock you away. 440, on the other hand, and up, I'll bet you'll just stay there and turn into a nice crispy critter. So for all of those of you who don't believe this, just give it the benefit of the doubt. Do a little research as the areas that I've pointed about MRI, how that works, and it aligns all of the cells in your body in one direction, positive, negative, positive, negative. Then about the power cluster cancer outbreaks into little children, the whole families. Forget that it's just children, it ain't. It was whole families that were being affected by this. So just try to be aware of it, people, and the fact that our magnetosphere around the planet is kind of getting soft, I guess you could say. It's losing because of how we're playing with it. It's unfortunate, but I wish you all the best. Please look up this stuff, because energy, even though we can't see it, it does affect our bodies, either in the good or most cases in the negative, because we haven't really gotten into the biometrics and electricity. That's something no scientist that we ever brought over to this country under Operation Paperclip ever addressed. I just wish Tesla was still around. Yeah, I would pick him over Einstein, actually, on this matter. So, good luck, people. Like I say, just check out those two things, how my MRI works and about the cancer clusters for families living around power lines. And that occurred here in the United States. This is not some third world nation I'm talking about. I want to say Aaron Brockovich, but I don't believe that was what was happening in California. I believe it was chemical pollution going into the groundwater. So I'm not going to address that other than the little bit I just spoke. I think, like I said, that's chemical, not the fields themselves. So, okay, let me just throw something else in here. Why do astronauts need to be in shielded suits? It's not just for the cold and the vacuum, because it keeps radiation away from them, from killing them, that the magnetic sphere of the Earth stops before it even hits the planet. At least most of it. Some still gets through, but that's because of us, I guess. We've been weakening it. So that's 3 now. The astronauts, shielded suits for radiation. And radiation, let me just put this in perspective so nobody freaks about it. We can see a little tiny speck of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is how we see light. It's part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And we see a little tiny sliver when in actuality I probably can't get both my fingers in here to, it's big, people. You go into the infrared and above, you go to the ultraviolet and lower. So the infrared, you've got the repeating patterns real fast, and in the ultraviolet, they're real long, like ocean waves. But it's the magnetic that goes perpendicular to it that I think is what's causing so much damage to people. And you got to admit, in order for you to have a speaker, it has usually an 8 ohm resistant magnet on the back of the speaker. Otherwise you couldn't hear. So maybe it's time for somebody to develop better technology as far as a phone. No, there's some more jobs. Because IBM or Bell, I'm not sure who yet. Sorry, I just am getting things together. Was working with fiber optics on computers, and they pretty much got it down pat now. That'd be interesting to see if we're all going to be around long enough to see something like that happen. Well, good night, and take care of yourselves, all of you.